Scott 86's Monster Mash!
I just got back from watching Pet Sematary, the 2019 remake, and holy fuck, sometimes dead is better. What's up, you guys? Scott 86 here. Let's talk about Pet Sematary, the 2019 remake. I was in the movie theater, and as soon as it said Pet Sematary, I was like, yes, yes. So, I mean, I know the people in front of me were probably like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? I'm going to go ahead and say that there's going to be a lot of spoilers in here, so beware. I will let you guys know whenever I'm about to start with all the spoilers, so there will definitely be a spoiler alert. So without further ado, let's talk about this shit. The Creed family pulls up to their new house. Everything's chill for like the first 5 minutes until this giant truck just passes by and it's like the first jump scare. There were a good bit of jump scares in the film, but they executed it perfectly. You could predict when the jump scare was about to happen in some cases, but not all of them, so it was very, very well presented. Okay, so you got the Creed family, they're all here. You got Lewis, Rachel, Ellie, and little Gage, the baby. They meet the neighbor, Judd. The movie was great. I read the book and I watched the original movie 1,000 times, like over 100 times. This was actually a remake that paid attention, like a lot of attention to the novel and the original film. It did it justice for sure. So I can definitely say that this was definitely a great remake for sure. It was actually a remake done right. It was great. A couple of minor differences and changes to the film that was different from the book and the original movie. The little girl, Ellie, her character was definitely like pretty much the main focus of the entire film, I feel like, almost. It was a crazy twist, and I'm going to talk about everything. If you don't want the movie ruined for you or spoiled for you, go ahead and skip to this time code right here. It'll just be my final thoughts because I'm about to go in deep into this shit. Whenever I first saw the trailer for it, I thought that there was going to be a lot of like the kids with the masks on in the film, but it was only like one scene in the very beginning pretty much. It was some kind of a ritual or something to bury their pets at the Pet Sematary. There was parts whenever Pascal comes into the, like they rush him into the ER and Lewis is like trying to save this dude's life. Pascal got hit by a truck and he's like all fucked up. In the original film, I mean, he looked pretty bad off. I mean, as you can see a picture of him right here, like he looked pretty fucked up. But in this version of it, the dude's arm, the skin is all gone and shit, and right eye's like bulging out of his head, and like his whole right side of his face is all fucked up. Basically, Pascal is like, he turns into a spirit and he tries to warn Lewis about the Pet Sematary. It was awesome, and it was such a good remake because, like I said a million times so far, they really did pay attention to the book and the original film. Even the part where Pascal shows him the Pet Sematary, and then whenever he wakes up in the morning, his feet are dirty in the bed, just like the original one. The ER scene was a lot like the original. There was literally scenes that were word for word from the book and from the original film, you know? It was really great. Basically what happens in this film, the twist of this one is that Ellie is the one that gets hit by the truck instead of in the novel and in the original film, you know, it was Gage that got run over by the truck. And there was times where I'm watching the movie where I'm thinking, holy fuck, this is really intense, you know, like I could barely look at the damn screen. It's like Halloween or something. Ellie's like playing with her friends, these two kids that are dressed up like ghosts. Lewis walks up and he's talking to him for a second, and then he notices that Judd is standing at the end of the road, brings him down the road a little bit, and Church, the cat, is like mangled. Like that's how this whole thing starts, basically. Like it got hit by a truck or something, and the dude's like, damn trucks or some shit like that, you know. He just brings him to this weird giant burial ground and he tells Lewis to bury the cat. Basically what happens is he doesn't tell Lewis of the powers of this like sacred land. You bury anything that was living that died in this soil, it comes back to life. But whenever it comes back to life, it's not the same person or the same animal anymore. You know, it's like this like evil being. The funeral scene when they're lowering the little girl into the ground, it was so hard for me to watch, man. Like, shit. At the funeral, Lewis knows about the cat coming back to life. You know what I'm saying? And Judd's like standing across the way, and he's looking at Judd, and it's like from that point, from that moment, he knew exactly what he was about to try to do, which is bury Ellie there. Rachel and Gage, they go stay with at Rachel's parents' house or whatever. All the Zelda parts are so fucking scary. It was so frightening, and like whenever you see Zelda and like the way she died by falling down the shaft, it was so fucking crazy. Lewis stays behind, like he stays at the house, and him and Judd just like stay up all night pretty much drinking beers, and Judd passes out. Lewis gets the bright idea. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do it tonight. I'm bringing my daughter back to life. He brings Ellie to the burial ground and buries her in there. And he's like covering her face with the dirt. It was so sad. He's just hanging out at the house, and all of a sudden Ellie shows up. You know, she's back from the fucking dead. Really creepy, very grim. It was insane. Rachel, the entire time she's having flashbacks about her sister Zelda. Her sister had this kind of weird like disformity or something, this weird like disfigurement kind of thing going on where her back was all fucked up and like it's all twisted and like her spine's all curved, and it's just like her bones and everything are all like I don't even know how to explain it. It's fucked. And there's this really creepy scene where you like see Zelda dead in this like shaft, like it's like an elevator shaft where she sends food up to her or something. I don't know, it was really weird, but she like, you can hear her like stumbling around upstairs, and they play on that a lot, and the whole like Zelda stumbling around upstairs shit was really creepy too. That shit fucking sent chills down my spine, no pun intended. Rachel and Gage come back down. She's not hearing from Lewis, like he's not answering the phone all of a sudden. She gets there, she reunites with Lewis. Everything's kind of going okay, I guess, aside from their daughter recently getting run over by a truck. All of a sudden, Ellie starts walking down the hall, and the mom sees her. She just like starts freaking out, you know what I'm saying, because her daughter was dead. Ellie comes up to Rachel, and she's like, "Are you happy, mommy?" You know, and then she hugs her. And then Lewis is like basically saying, you know, hug your daughter back. She like pushes Ellie off of her, kind of like nudges her off of her and walks away. And Ellie's like, she doesn't want me here. He goes upstairs to talk to Rachel to try to like, you know, tell her this shit is real, like our daughter's alive. He's losing his mind pretty much at this point. She goes over to Judd's house. I'm not exactly sure if that was the order, but at some point Ellie goes over to Judd's house and she basically murders the shit out of him. Ellie like turns into his wife and like starts taunting him. Ellie pretty much ends up murdering Rachel, her mother. Rachel pretty much barely gets Gage out the window and tosses Gage down to Lewis. He locks Gage in the car, you know, so he'll be safe or whatever. That's when Ellie just like stabs her in the back, and she like twists the knife. She's basically just like stabbing her in the stomach on the floor. It was so brutal. She drags Rachel, her mother's dead body, up to the burial ground and buries her. And Lewis finds Ellie in the Pet Sematary, and there's this huge scuffle between the both of them, and Ellie is like this little girl, and she's literally like beating the shit out of her dad, you know, like in the middle of the cemetery, and she's like getting the best of him for a second, and all of a sudden like he just snaps and like starts strangling the shit out of her, and he's like about to kill her, and she goes for the shovel, and he grabs it from her, you know, and he stands up and he's like about to like decapitate the fuck out of her with the shovel. All of a sudden she like turns back to normal, like she looks normal again, like she's not dead, and she's like basically like saying, "Daddy, no." and then all of a sudden this like giant spear, like a spike, comes through his chest. She pulls it out and he falls down. It reveals that it was Rachel, like zombie Rachel, you know, undead demon zombie Rachel. They drag Lewis's body like by his feet up to the burial ground. They bury him in there, and then he comes back as a like undead, like demon zombie or whatever the fuck they are. I'm sitting there wondering or thinking like, what the hell are they gonna do about the baby? Like, Gage is still in the car. The next scene cuts to baby Gage in the car by himself, and all of a sudden you see that his 3 dead siblings, like his family members, mom, dad, and his sister, like all zombied up, walking towards the car. And then it shows Gage one more time, and then it just like cut to black, and like the credits started to roll, and they played that Pet Sematary song by the Ramones. But it wasn't the Ramones, it was like somebody else covering the song, but it was the same song, so that was really cool. Everything's in there. You'll never get out of bed again. Sometimes dead is better. The ground's sour. A man's heart is stonier. It was just a great remake of a classic. They just pulled it off very well. All I can say is if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Scott 86. Pet Sematary 2019. All I can say is go check it out. You gotta see it. This shit is insane. Like, they were not afraid to go there. Just go watch it for yourself. That's all I can say.